Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Village of Land and Plan Commission meeting to order for Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 PM. We will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'll just remind everyone to silence your phones if you haven't already done so. Is that working at all? Can you hear me okay out there?
yeah, sounds good.
Roll call, Grimm,
Here.
Batiste,
Here.
Janice,
Here.
Lake,
Yes.
Payleitner,
Here.
Lavold,
Yes.
and Yates is present. Statement of public notice
That's
has
what.
been posted. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item 5, discussion and possible approval of plan commission meeting minutes from 10/15/25. Any comments or corrections from the commission? Yes, sir.
Only because I wasn't here, but I guess this is a good proofreading of the minutes. Item 8, the last line. Owner signs off for contingent approval of the conceptual plan. What were you? What was he signing off on?
We didn't have them sign off on anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure what.
I was gonna ask about that line too.
Do you have any idea what the intent was behind that line in the minutes, Brenda?
Let me just see if I can bring them up. I gave the packet to Cody. Oh, yeah, sorry. That's okay. Sorry.
Says the applicant is aware of the issues. This is all good feedback and possible questions at public hearing. Owner signs off for contingent approval.
Who was it for? That was the drive-through for,
I don't recall anything like that.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, me neither.
Should be stricken.
this was the drive-through.
He was
I
here.
think, yeah, I think that was for like the future. He would have to sign off to, he didn't. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't anything that he signed off on now. It was just if he went through with the process.
Yeah, I would entertain as part of whoever makes a motion to just strike that sentence. I think that would help clarify.
I'll ask another question.
Okay.
We can roll them together. Number 10. They are ready to go with the project. What was the project?
So a concrete driveway,
It was the concrete driveway we were
Yes.
talking about.
yes. And I suspect that Mr. Engineer Wood might have an update for us on that because he's been in communication with them.
Then on item 10C, when we go into talking about this other, and bringing up these other topics, it was having reading through this and not having been here, it was difficult to follow a lot of what you were talking about, and it looks like you jumped around from one thing to another. And I was thinking that we could maybe do something where we designate these items with a number, maybe with a date and then a number that gets attached to our discussions.
Yeah, I mean, so when Brenda agendizes these, she does put, certain ones on here. And I suppose we could break these out with a sub A, B, C, D,
Right, I
E.
think we were just, it was under other, because we were bringing up all
Yeah.
other things that we kind of wanted to keep on the radar.
And I think it's something that,
Look for the future.
yeah, for the future, it makes it really hard for someone to go back to it and then kind of follow the items
Sure,
when we put them together in a big
Okay.
paragraph.
yeah,
I get it.
no, that's
And-
good feedback.
And maybe it makes it hard for us to say, I want to bring back item number 1 from 11/7/11/19 back into the discussion. And it would give us, if we use like the date and then a number, it might give us, okay, this was first brought into the discussion at this time. And, but either way, it would be a could be a subheading underneath this that just classified each of the discussions and maybe kept us on track too.
Does that make sense,
Yep.
Brenda?
Okay. I won't make the motion since I wasn't here.
Anybody else care to make a motion that was here?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 10/15/25.
Subject to.
Striking. Right.
Yeah, strike that, yeah. Subject to striking the letter or number 8, owner signs off for contingent approval.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion, a second, any other discussion? All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, citizen comments. Do we have citizen comments, Ms. Grenier? Ms. Graham? No, I'm, because you're in front. That's why you don't sit in front.
No, I sit in front because I normally get back on
Because
things.
he doesn't usually have one. Ask me at the end of the night.
Okay, Jerry, anything? No? And you folks are all here for Land and Tank together, right?
yes, sir.
All right, going once, going twice.
Well, wait a minute. If you wanna know anything, I have gone down Good Hope Road with the patching that has been done. Is there gonna be more patching done to it though?
Not under warranty.
Okay. Because it still has some waviness to it. Not as bad where they patched it.
I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Unless you know specifically where it's worse or still not as good.
Where it's
But-
not patched.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we'll get any more out of warranty.
Okay.
But 2028 full reconstruction.
Moving at the speed of government. All right, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we'll move on. Item number 7, discussion and possible action on the approval of an amended plan of operation and site plan for Land and Tank, 20134 West Main Street, Landon, Wisconsin, 53046. Ben has some extensive comments regarding this. We have a contingency here from Land and Tank, so thank you for being here again.
Does anybody need a copy of Ben's comments? I have extras here.
Yes.
Yes.
How many extras do you have?
Well, whatever Brenda made, because I just.
7, 8, whatever.
You have yours?
Maybe.
I have.
I have some of the notes from the fire.
You of course have yours.
No, same thing.
I could use a copy. This is good. Thanks.
So
Yeah, I didn't.
why don't I start and I'll just give a general overview of my comments,
Perfect.
before turning it over. So the intent of this plan here is to do a partial demolition and even larger addition on the north side of the existing property. One of the initial concerns coordinating with Edgar and his consultant for several months was in regards to the floodplain. That's further down in the letter, but suffice to say that what they have proposed addresses the concerns about the floodplain. That had an engineer come up with a grading plan and review the requirements and come up with something that will work and then check, and that complies with the ordinances. The part of the floodplain that they were in is called a flood fringe area, which is different than a floodway. Floodway is more severe, the flood fringe is just like adjacent to that, so when you're in the flood fringe, our ordinances allow in manufacturing and commercial areas. Still allow construction in there as long as it's built at an elevation that's above the flood fringe elevation, so they've satisfied all of that. I received comments just 2 days ago from Menominee Falls Fire Department. I've summarized this here in just one paragraph, but the fire department provided a pretty lengthy email with a lot of requirements. Concerns expressed include the need to evaluate all additions as a single building for sprinkler requirements, distance from the nearest municipal hydrant to the farthest point of the facility exceeds the standards. Fire department access way width and layout around the building need to be checked against standards, and a need to keep the fire lane clear at all time. Obviously, they use the yard there for storage and moving of product, etc. And they need to make sure that there's fire lane clear at all times. I think the email even said posting signage of fire lane. Zoning, everything complies. Outside storage, everything appears to comply. Off-street parking and loading areas are not affected by this. Drainage, they have sufficiently taken care of there. That's item number 6. Item number 7, stormwater management plan, is frankly a repeat of a similar comment from when Edgar was back here last November, actually, talking about the parking lot expansion. So we've already reviewed that, and they don't need to do anything extra to comply with the stormwater management. Item 8 is floodway, which I've talked about. Item 9, site and structure design criteria. In a nutshell, I don't believe there's any way that this property can conform exactly to the building foundation landscaping requirements and parking lot landscaping requirements. I have a suggestion further in my comments that maybe they consider putting some concrete planters or something like that between the bug line and their parking lot. You know, the village has undertaken the downtown design standards, and it's trying to make some attempts of beautifying some things, etc. So I am personally of the opinion that they should not just be waived entirely of the landscape requirements because it wouldn't be practical, but that there should be some type of concession kind of reached. Other comments here, the 30-foot tall building, it does comply with the height restrictions. Just based on the elevation view drawings, it looks like there's kind of different color scheme on the existing building or the southernmost building that's got a different color on the lower portion of the building versus the top. The rest of the structure is all just uniform. So that's something the plan commission should have a conversation about tonight, if that's okay, if something else should be done. Outdoor lighting, a site photometric plan should be provided. Anecdotally, I think it's going to be okay, but however, since this borders residential property, and since we're having lighting issues elsewhere in the village, I would like them to actually provide that. That's it for section 9 in my comments here. Section 10 talks about performance standards. Specifically here quoting some drainage requirements, but the second paragraph here states that, a facility like this has or should have a stormwater pollution prevention plan or a SWIP, which is sometimes required by DNR. So we just want to see that that is updated and complies with DNR requirements. And then last page here are my comments, item number 11, plan of operation. Just a couple of high level questions I have regarding the hours of operation being noted as 4 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. I didn't look back to see if that's how it's operating right now, or if this is new, the addition of a shift. But given that the property borders residence, the applicant should comment on the potential for any potential for nuisance issues. Headlights, backup alarms, etc. Again, on the plan of operation here, noting that no plantings are proposed, but I suggest some type of concrete planter or something perhaps along the Budline Trail. The plan commission should also discuss screening, obviously. The tanks themselves are stored outside products, and I just think if there's any thoughts about screening that should be talked about, I don't have any particular thoughts, quite frankly, kind of. It's been assumed that the level, I've not heard any comments that there's a need for additional screening at this property. If that is impacted by the building addition and certain materials are gonna get stored in a new place on the site that is now gonna be visible, that should be discussed. So that's a summary of my comments. Any questions from the plan commission? Otherwise, I shared these. This letter was just dated as of yesterday. I distributed it yesterday morning. I sent it to the applicant also, so presumably you've had a chance to kind of digest it and have some comments also.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Wood before we give the applicant the opportunity to
Yeah, go for it.
present?
I'd like to start out with, I looked at the bug line all the way from one end to the other end. And your parking lot is the only one that's on the right of way of the bug light. Do you guys have a special deed with the Waukesha County for that whole strip along the bug line?
Not that I'm aware of. The parking lot is I'm Parker Ritz with Design to Construct. The parking lot is actually that far outside of the bug line. It's not actually on the actual bug line property.
When I bring up the GIS to look at that,
Right,
the whole strip there is on the bug line right away. The way it looks. Because
yeah.
if we try to put planters, if you had to put planters along the edge of your driveway without pulling on the grass,
There's not room.
there's no room.
There's not room there. There's a very, very slight separation between our parking lot and the bug line. I would tell you that, we talked about that earlier today, and I apologize, my site plan here doesn't quite show all of the bug line area. But if our parking lot is right here, and then the bug line, this is the bug line trail running right through here. There is a green space on the south end of the bug line, boundary that is on the bug line, that is adjacent to our southern neighbor here. And what we talked about earlier today was that in lieu of planting on our site, which is incredibly difficult to do, we would be willing to plant deciduous or coniferous trees in that green space on the actual bug line to screen the property from Main Street and our southern neighbor. That's the one area that's available for plantings. So we would be open to planting in that area versus planting, because there's not enough room between the parking lot and the bug line trail to allow to even put planters.
Real quick here, Mark, I think we're talking about two different things, so. I see the green strip between your parking lot and the bug line, but that's the right of way line for the bug line that goes all the way into your parking spot.
I apologize,
So
this is the green area right here that I'm talking about.
on the south side,
On the south side that we could plant, adjacent to the office piece of the building.
yeah, I was thinking of something specifically between your parking lot and the bug line on the north side of the bug line.
Am I looking at that right, or is there?
No, you're correct.
Yeah.
So I would, right now, you have to do is get a hold of Waukesha and get something, because technically they could say you're on their property all this time. So I have a problem with that, because that's gonna be one of the things is these planters and stuff, or some sort of planting along that side. My next item would be, do you plan on doing any painting of the existing buildings so it all blends as uniformity?
Yeah, over time, we started with the you know, if you noticed, 2 years ago versus a year ago, the front of the building was the black that was peeling on sheets. We've taken care of that and we're working our way around to improve the building.
So when you put up, if you get approval and put up the new addition, are you gonna be able to do that? Let's just go north, south, east, west, just what we can see from the road, we'll just call that the south side. Which it was from all the way across the building from the up into the parking lot area, you know, up into the, up towards your painting building, is it?
Yeah.
We'll call that whole south side of the face.
Okay.
Okay, we'll call the fence the east side. Okay, so we're gonna rotate your buildings just for,
Yeah.
so could that all be done when they do the additions, paint that whole front? That's quite, don't have to answer right now.
Yeah.
My other item is, on your plan of operation, it states your drainage, parking drainage flows directly into the creek. So I'm questioning that because of, the Water Quality Protection Act and all that. The next item I have is your plan of operation was hours of 6 to 9, Monday through Friday, and 5 to 3 on Saturdays. And I'm questioning these hours now, you're going to the, yeah, to
1:30 AM.
4 AM to 1:30 AM. And 4 AM to 8 PM on Saturday. I guess that early starting at 4 AM is a little bit troublesome on Saturdays. And then when you say as needed on Sunday and holidays, it's either you state hours or you stay closed, okay, for the holidays and Sundays. And then, the only other thing I have is, is this addition all gonna be a state approved plans?
Yes, sir.
And are you, gonna be able to address all the fire departments, NAPA, building codes and sprinkler code, NAPA 1372s?
Yeah.
The E-box, you're gonna do, that's all gonna be addressed?
And I'd like to state that well, obviously, we've got the comments from the fire department yesterday, but, looking at the requirements from the fire department, the building doesn't essentially need to be sprinkled. We're creating a firewall between the new addition and what's existing of the building, which negates the requirement for the sprinkler system. The building is not required to be fire alarmed. The question about the hydrants, we have to work with the fire department on what they're looking for. The site does have a large enough lateral to add some hydrants, but that is something we would need to sit down and talk with the fire chief about where he wants to actually see them. So I think that we're able to address all the concerns with the fire department, the concerns about the access around the site and vehicular access. You can currently pull into the site, drive all the way around the building and back out of the site again. That comes down to site management with exterior storage. And we've talked about that as well. So when you pull onto the site over here, you can drive all the way around the building, come around over here, and then come back out again. So we just have to talk with the fire department about all of his concerns, and I'm fairly confident we can address everything for him.
Okay, that's the end of my comments.
As it relates to the runoff and Water Protection Act, sir, I spoke to our engineer about that earlier today. The way that we're grading this, the site grading isn't changing at all. It isn't affecting where the water's going at all. The water's going to all the exact same places it was before. We're just putting a building on top of an area that was previously gravel and a little bit of other building. So he said that how the water is affected, where it's being directed isn't changing at all. And he did indicate that the site is currently covered by a stormwater industrial tier 2 program through the DNR. It's got, the proposed improvements are not anticipated to change the stormwater pollution prevention plan or permitting requirements to the DNR. So he said that's already been addressed. And what we're doing is not affecting those items.
It's currently gravel right now, right? Where the new addition is proposed is dirt and gravel.
That's correct.
And you're adding roughly how many square feet? Like, you're removing part like the old addition and then putting a new one on, right?
Yes. Yeah. So the gravel and the building are both considered the same.
Impervious.
They're both considered impervious. So in doing the building, we're not changing the impervious calculations or affecting the way the site drains and all, so.
Right. Sure.
Did you say that the building is not considered pervious?
No,
No,
the buildings and building like roof area and gravel are both considered impervious. And so the DNR considers gravel essentially like pavement. Yeah, so their gravel is considered impervious and the roof is considered impervious, so we're not adding impervious area to the site.
You're just trading one impervious surface for another, so it doesn't affect the calculation.
Correct.
What type of activity is being proposed to start at 4 AM?
Really, it's shipping and receiving and preparation, so this new expansion is gonna allow us to move our shipping and receiving out of the actual manufacturing area. So typically, we start shipping about 7 o'clock, but they come in, they gotta check the tanks for vacuum and prep them for shipment. So most of that activity would be in the shipping and receiving, which is this new bay.
So in layman's terms, what does that mean? So you've got a big tank inside the building
Yep,
getting loaded on a
no, the
flatbed
trucking
trailer?
doesn't come in, probably, it could start as early as 6 AM. But typically at 4 o'clock, we're not loading trucks and sending them on the roadways. One, it could be if it's an oversized load, they're not gonna have permits to do that type of travel time.
Mhm.
But to be inside the building, the guys gotta come in, we gotta do our inspection and documentation of these tanks prior to shipping. We do all that work and get ready to start shipping.
So I'm not gonna be laying in bed down the hill from you, listening to forklifts and backup beepers and tanks clanging down on
Well, I don't know
flatbeds.
exactly where you live, but hopefully not. Part of the hours right now is that we are in a capacity and space constraint, which is making us work more overtime. I mean, the intent would be to get to a 6 AM start time, not a 4 AM.
Is there welding and banging and bending metal at 4 AM?
There should not be metal banging at 4 AM.
Is there welding at 4 AM? Could they start welding at 4 AM
Yes.
and they could drop a sheet of metal and
There could be those processes occurring, yes.
Those are inside the building.
They're inside the building.
doors are closed at 4 AM on a middle of July, middle of June?
Probably.
See,
I can't-
probably not, so. Cause I've heard people have throughout the village have said, have you heard that big noise that's coming out of that factory down the road there in the morning? Boom, boom, boom and stuff. Or some piece of metal must not be lined up and the guy beat the heck into lining.
You have no doorway between the addition and the existing production area? There's gonna be no doorway, it's just, according to it looks like it's just a straight wall across the whole thing.
So at this point, what we've been focusing on is the overall function of the site and the actual building addition itself. To get the project to work with the flood fringe. The new building is 3 inches to higher floor level than the building that it's next to. There will be connections between the buildings. We have to figure out where we want to have those as it relates to their process. And then how we're gonna handle the transition of that small lip between the buildings. So there will be connections between them. It is gonna be a firewall, so whatever protection or whatever opening is between those two buildings will be a protected fire rated opening. So, but there'll be connections between the two buildings, for sure.
So as far as the plantings go, I'll jump in because I am also on the beautification committee on the village board, so I'll just kind of lean on that. I think that the idea is that we want to shield industrial property from neighbors. We've got the fence on the other side where the berm is. I get that. I would love something along the bug line, and obviously logistically, that's not gonna happen on your property, but planting trees across the street is, not really serving the purpose of shielding the industrial from the bug line. However, I would like to bring up the fact that I have, for a long time wanted to see some sort of, um, some sort of project along the bug line, especially at the entrance to Lannon, and there's obviously multiple roads where the bug line crosses at the entrance of Lannon, but I would love to have some sort of project on a piece of land, maybe over by HM Brandt or maybe by you, where it would be almost like a rest stop. It would be a structure that would provide shade, would invite people to learn more about Lannon, welcome them in to come get some local businesses, some business, you know, something that serves as a multi-purpose segue into saying, hey, you're on the bug line, but now you're in Lannon and this is what Lannon has to offer. I'm just gonna throw that out there because we're talking about maybe alternate projects that could be done to satisfy beautification, you know, requirements or landscaping requirements. I'm not saying that this would have to be something that would be all yours. It's been a project that I've been wanting to approach local businesses on and say, hey, can we do something to kind of make the bug line a landmark of Lannon, you know, just something that, you know, people wanted to stop and fill a water bottle or, you know, take a break. We would have something. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. I know that sounds a little more expensive than some concrete blocks. You know, but
Yeah,
And how does that work with them? Us requiring them to do something on someone else's property?
You mean doing it on the bug line?
Because the other side of the bug line, I assume that's not theirs.
It's all in the bug line right away,
yeah, everything we're discussing will be in the bug line right away.
right?
It's all gonna have to get probably
So-
approved by the county.
But
There-
yeah,
To help you visualize it, if you were to drive in, their whole access drive that goes along the south side of the building that's parallel to the bug line. That entire drive is in the bug line right of way. And then the parking stalls that are oriented north-south up against the building, about half of those are in the bug line, like the back half of the car would be on bug line, right?
Well, it goes that far north?
Yeah, it's pretty wide right away right there. So I don't know why bug line has that wide of right away.
Why does it go so far on that side and not on the other side?
That's a great question.
It's probably the old railroad bed.
Yeah,
Well, it was, yeah, it was a stone quarry where the tank is. That's where they load cars.
yeah, what was do we know?
why
Maybe
we
it was,
have them.
maybe it was just a much wider right of way when it was a railroad and it just never got adjusted down maybe for a county path or.
Yeah, potentially. I feel like BP went through something similar with this and. Like the county does have a process and it's basically. Akin to getting an easement from the county to have your existing facilities stay there. So it's not that it's insurmountable. What I was envisioning is if you've seen those. Concrete planters that kind of double as bollards.
Like they
something
have
like
at
that, that you just
Centennial
set
Park
on
in
the-
Falls.
Sure, that you can just set on top of the pavement.
Yeah.
But if they get the easement from Waukesha County. And they ask for extra 4 feet of grass area, they can put it right along the parking lot then on the grass. Since they're already on the bug line right away, I mean, you know, why shoot for 10 feet when you get 15 feet?
But they would still have to maintain their access way, so whatever the.
Right, well, that's why I'm just saying, instead of putting these ballards and stuff on their driveway,
Uh-huh.
they can shift it over
Oh, I see.
and, you know, I mean, you should really be going to Waukesha and getting that easement now, you know. Cause the only, you know, cause that's. Technically. If I could park in your parking lot to access the bug line, cause that's a bug line access then. You know, cause there's one access point like that that's actually marked and that's in Sussex. You know where the storage facility is on Waukesha Avenue or by the just north of the Clark station? there is a 5 car spaces at an angle that are on the bug line right away, and it's for people to park there and access the bug line. Where they access it over here on Landon Road or down on Custer and all that, those are, you know, not bug line access points, those are just people created them, so.
We can definitely approach the county and talk to them about it, see what they have to say about our current parking situation and see what they'd be willing to entertain. Provide some screening for our property from the bug line, or it's that, I mean, part of our thought process when we were looking at this wasn't necessarily. I mean, obviously you want to screen our property from the bug line, but we were also looking at it from the perspective of, you can see our property through the bug line from Main Street. So the idea was that if we could screen our property from Main Street first. And then, to get some of the planting requirements somewhat satisfied. Obviously, we can talk about what the building between, screening between our property and the bug line, but the idea was to try to get you some of those plantings that you're looking for.
I just don't see a practical way to do that, unfortunately. There's just, you either have to get some sort of easement or access agreement from Luxury Auto or the county. I mean, yeah. Either one of those is, I mean,
Yeah, it would be, we were thinking it would probably be the county, the area we were talking about, the grassy area, but we
yeah.
can approach the county and just see what they're open to, and what their comments are on the parking lot.
But none of that would be enforceable by us.
My bigger concern is frankly, and I understand the need, and your business is growing and you have limited footprint, so you're trying to expand shifts. That all makes sense to me. I'm very concerned about the notion of approving a 4 AM to 1:30 AM hours of operation for a business like yours. It's just the potential for noise at a nuisance level is just too high. I mean, we have ordinances in place already, and I still hear what sounds like, or I can only assume is, boulders being dumped into metal containers and stuff clanging around at 10:30 at night, sometimes at 6 AM in the morning. It's just I just don't want to open ourselves up to that. So that's my biggest struggle with this. For me, everything else seems easily solved, but.
That's basically what I got here on mine is I made some comments, but I made notes that. These are some major problems, but like, that's the only one that's really, really in me is that time change.
Yeah, and please understand, I'm not trying to imply that those noises are coming from your operation. I've always assumed that they're the quarry, one of the quarries.
We feel the shaking.
And trying to track down which one it might be. I've gone out in my car at 10:30 at night and driven around and tried to find it, and it's surprisingly, it's harder than you would think.
It is a common call though, that we get.
Yep, I used to get it at Whispering Ridge, and I lived over there, and I still hear that stuff over here. I mean, I was laying in bed the other night, I could literally hear the train, going through.
Yeah, when
So, I
the
mean-
wind is right.
Yeah, I mean, sound travels
Oh, yeah.
through here, just a crazy amount, so, I don't know what the solution is to that for you. That's my primary.
Well, we can keep the same hours of operation in play, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know that's not ideal, or maybe there's a way that we can somehow memorialize what types of activities could be allowed to, because it's not to say that you can't get productive hours out of those other time windows doing certain activities. I don't know your business though, so I don't know if there are other functions that can be done that are less noisy or, will have a lower propensity of that type of noise pollution at a nuisance level. You know, maybe something like that can be, you know, accomplished.
I'm assuming you're
Sure
doing
we
like a
can.
leak down test or something on those, and if someone just needs to come in and make sure it's holding pressure or something like that, that would be allowable to have employees there as long as they're not loading, using heavy equipment, you know.
Yeah, certainly what you do inside is different than what you do outside.
It's just a change in process of what you're doing, you know, you have to, you know. Take a look at that and see if there's a change in process that would accommodate that.
Right, because
for
if
sure.
if we approve a change in those hours and then it becomes a noise. Issue, then it's on us, but if we take steps to ensure that we are addressing noise issues. Then maybe some variations can be made and it's on you if it becomes noisy. If there's a noise complaint now. It's not that we've told you you can start full operations at 4 AM. We have said that contingent upon what kind of work is being done.
Do you have functions like that you think you could operate in some of those time windows that,
Yeah, cause I know what operations would have the potential to create the banging,
okay,
so we can limit those functions to hours that are better for the surrounding neighbors, for sure.
okay.
What do our ordinances say, Ben? I was in my ordinances trying to find what they're zoned industrial, right? So that's 6 AM, right?
6 or 7,
I know blasting is
6 or 7.
I don't know that it says explicitly. I know for like construction sites, it's limited, but there's nothing that's saying just. That I'm aware of that says, you know, your neighbor can't. Saw down a tree at 11 PM, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm checking the performance standards.
Yeah, I've got hours of operation for blasting.
You know, a guy running a spray paint. You know. That would be okay. A guy bleeding the air off of a tank, that would be okay. But you cannot do any production of building a tank.
Yeah, I mean, even blasting is probably not that bad, right?
We do it inside now.
Yeah, it's not that long.
We used to do it outside, but we moved it inside.
I know what process would be, we create the noise of the hammering when they're setting up shelves,
Yeah, okay,
and then we just have to limit that
sure.
on 4 AM.
Or just having trucks outside with backup alarms and. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't,
Really go real late.
You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
back alarms are, we have a spotter anyhow, so we won't have to run the backup alarms. As I understood it.
So I'll just generally say the ordinances limit. Noise levels, for example, but not the hours. There's language in the ordinance that, you know, I think the whole point of the plan of operation process is that you can kind of exercise your discretion in applying the hours of operation relative to the actual operation.
So what time do you start operations now as far as manufacturing? I'm not talking about the early morning guys that come in to prep for shipping. What time
Yeah,
does
those
the
guys are coming
workforce show up?
between 5 and 7.
And that's what you've been doing.
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
And do we have any noise complaints on Land and Tank?
I don't review the logs.
Yeah.
But even at 5 o'clock, he's already outside of the existing hours that he had gotten approved back in,
Right, right.
I don't know what year that was.
Mhm.
A one, that worked.
Yeah,
Put the
Well,
readers up.
back when we used to type these up on a typewriter.
yeah, this was
Carbon
It's a
copy.
typewriter.
2015,
well,
10 years ago, 10 years ago.
10 years ago, that's it? That's not long at all. Heck, I was here 10 years ago.
Final.
This is actually about their third or fourth one in that time frame.
Yeah.
10 years ago. What were we doing 10 years ago that you're in here for modification?
When did you buy
It
it?
wasn't me.
I bought it,
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That usually makes you have to come here.
Patrick, right?
that was our former president. Keyword former.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't make friends with you guys in the state, but he did take care of that. He should have been on a timely basis.
Then they used to call some guy Ken
Ken
Stowell.
Stoll was the prior owner. He owned it for about 10 years prior to that. I think it may have been 15. He's now in Arizona, rested nicely.
So from an hours of operation standpoint. We talked about the mornings, what about evenings? Your typical noise generating production, what is your typical end time frame for that?
Well, they're manufacturing throughout the night. The overhead doors are supposed to close at dusk. Try to contain if there is noise escaping, but
So that it's
we plan on having
common
a second.
to,
What's that?
it's common for you guys to run now,
Second shift, yeah.
well, second or it
But the
really
doors
is
close at
third
dusk.
shift.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so let's talk about the construction of these walls then, and can you, Mark, can you speak at all to the noise reduction ability of these walls? Let's assume it's 10 o'clock at night and they're in there hammering together a tank, and I assume these are gonna be metal sheeting.
Correct, it's a typical metal building, so, it's got a metal building structure.
Yeah.
On the outside of the metal building structure, there is, for essentially all purposes, about a 10-inch stud. They call it a girt.
Yeah.
That mounts on the outside of the building. That cavity, that 10-inch cavity is filled with insulation. To allow the building to be thermally protected. That insulation also affords quite a bit of sound deadening.
Sure.
The roof itself will also be metal. The roof has about twice as much sound, or sound or insulation than that the walls do. And then, they'll have your typical overhead door, one overhead door on each side of the building. And, if the doors are shut, the sound deadening is significant. Now, if you're on the log line and they drop something in one of the buildings, you might be able to tell that something was in one of the buildings, but when it doesn't have that impact, we would typically see it.
And then what type of, would this addition have its own HVAC, unit on the rooftop or something?
There's not gonna be an HVAC unit on the rooftop. The building will have its own conditioning compared to the rest of the site.
Okay. That'll be ground mounted somewhere on the perimeter of the building? or-
So we're not air conditioning the building, so there'll be hung units within the
Loading
building to provide
heaters.
heat in wintertime.
Yeah.
But the buildings are not AC. provided.
Okay,
If you think about it, the current building that's there, and then there's a lean-to building, which was terribly built.
yeah,
Has very little insulation whatsoever on that side of the building.
yeah,
So that's all coming down.
Yep.
And a brand new
Yeah.
modern version is coming up, and then it's gonna be the addition. Production is gonna stay in the current building here.
okay,
This is more shipping and receiving.
sure,
And so forth, so all you've done, so if you're thinking about noise, and I'm trying to take your concerns and.
Yep.
It's gonna be almost like triple.
Yeah.
Now more, that's better,
sure,
so I think from that aspect, everybody wins.
yeah, no, that's a good clarification, thank you.
It kind of comes down to the doors.
Yeah.
If the doors are closed, you're pretty quiet.
Those new doors are really nice.
And that's the new door you just put in, right, for the,
That would be the same thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
on the east side?
Then the east side, we're gonna be putting that same door on the north side. Gotta get my directions correct.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Like, again, I'm not trying to be punitive in nature or restrictive in any kind of way. Unreasonably here. I think the hard part for me is that it's hard for us to know what the operations are gonna sound like until we've already allowed it, right? Or I don't know if there's. So I just feel like, to me, I would like, maybe it's an addendum or an appendix that just clearly spells out what types of activities can happen when.
Because we definitely want to have a plan of operation that accurately reflects
Yeah.
the actual hours. So we don't want anyone saying, we're not gonna start till 8 AM, but be there at 4. That's
Yeah.
that's no good.
Right.
We wanna have a plan of operation that accurately reflects that. And then make sure everybody understands that there are noise restrictions during certain hours, or, you know, however we want to word that. But it's our responsibility to make sure. We're super happy that you're going great guns and that you have to run multiple shifts, and we love that and we want that for you. But we need to make sure that we are communicating with you, that if there are noise complaints that come in, we have the steps in place to say, hey, listen, you said you weren't gonna make that noise until this time of day. So it's covering both of us to
Yeah.
do this.
And I think it might be a good idea that whatever we do in that regard, that maybe that's something that gets reviewed on an annual basis and comes back for. A renewal or a reapproval, or at least once, like, okay, let's get everything set and in place and do this, run your operation. Come back in a year, and if we haven't been getting them calls or hearing complaints, then we just. Let it run out for the term of the plan of operation. Or it gets reviewed on a, every 3 or 5 year basis, or just something.
Okay, so let me throw this out. I'm not gonna make the motion yet, but let me throw this out, so when I do make the motion, we have something to work with. Could you work with 4 to 6 AM, no production? Heavy production,
The setup,
the setup production,
yeah,
but you do your bleed downs and your painting, stuff like that.
sure,
And then from 6 AM to midnight. You can do all, you do your production. And then from midnight to 1:30, it's gotta be silent again. But the doors must close at dusk.
yes, that's workable, for sure.
Yeah.
Now that's
Year round.
year round. Which I imagine you guys probably like to get the doors closed when it gets really cold out.
Yeah, I've heard that, yes, yeah.
Yeah, in the summertime, the air is probably pretty nice to have, though.
Yeah,
Well, as long as there's no noise complaints, see, that's the
Right.
thing.
Right.
Is as soon as somebody complains, then we say, well, we've told them that the doors have to be closed at dusk, and then,
That's on
you
us.
know.
you got 35 employees now?
Yep.
Okay, and you're planning to add some
There'll be a
employees
few
after
more,
it's
but
done?
really,
How
a
many?
few more added, a few more.
A few more?
Really, the space is just for us to gain room to become more productive, because today when we ship, we tie up overhead cranes so that a welder can't move a tank or can't move a part because we're loading a truck. So we're gonna get more efficient.
Okay, you don't have a parking issue now for all your employees?
We got a lot of parking.
Okay,
What do you think you got all the big takes, they park inside? And then I was gonna say, then like Saturday would be 4 to 6 AM also, that same period. But it stops at 8 o'clock, and no Sunday and no holidays at this time.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
And then all of the light fixtures, it looks like you indicated they're all wall mounted, wall packs.
Yeah, so we're only proposing the addition of 2 fixtures, one on the east side and one on the west side, and they're full cutoff wall fixtures. I didn't provide a photometric just because it's literally just over top of the overhead door, and like I said, it's fully cut off. And the door we're talking about is in this position right here.
Yep.
And the neighbor residential is right there. We've got this big building and the fence and all the landscape. This little bit of light from this one overhead door is not going to it's not gonna go anywhere. I can provide a photometric, I'm happy to do it, but it's not gonna go more than 25 feet away from the building.
Yeah, so for us lay people, a full cutoff means
Means that the
it's
light
got a
goes
shield,
down. It has to go down.
that, yeah.
Right? You
Blocks.
can't, it can project, when it goes down, it can project a little bit out in front of it, but it doesn't, it's not allowed to project face on. You've all seen those, where it's
Yep.
just straight out at you, this is straight down.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool is that?
Like the ones over at Filtration Concepts
Yeah.
that shoot straight out.
Or EFC.
If you fix that.
So any other comments on the color continuity of the buildings? I mean, it sounds like maybe we want to include, I like your idea, Mr. Grimm, about having the continuity at least on what's visible from the road.
Yeah, if you hold your drawing up, I'll just point that out. Just, I'm just this line here, okay, show everybody that line there,
Sure.
this is the line I'm talking about for the continuity.
Right, so this is your view, this is view from Main Street. He's talking about this line, basically what's visible from Main Street.
Yeah.
It'll be all one color as the addition goes up that one color, you know. I know you can't paint it in the middle of center.
The east side on the garage door side or the?
So
Yeah,
the,
Front. The garage door side?
The garage door
The
side.
garage door sides.
this side right here, yeah,
Yeah.
the west side,
And we're replacing,
east side of east.
we're replacing, which,
I think you just put a new overhead door
when we
in.
put a door over here.
Yeah.
This one here, we're gonna be replacing anyway with the addition of the new building to the side, because we're gonna update it.
Yeah.
So,
The big move.
But that whole face, that faces the fence.
The east side.
we're good with that.
Maybe a nice dark blue.
You might have some paint laying on it, right?
Look at that, it's amazing. You've seen our colors.
White letters on it.
Color strip, blue. Blue.
I'd be, I thought for sure you'd want Packer color, my bad, okay.
Keep it on brand. So, and we're talking just the metal building east elevation, right? We're not talking the offices.
Right.
Offices is a different type of
I
construction.
mean, the black wall behind the offices, we just had repainted this past summer.
We clean that in.
You know, the doors are blue.
So we talked hours of operation and noises, we talked the aesthetics, the paint, and the addition. We talked to lighting, we talked to landscaping. Did we make any decision on landscaping?
I think they're gonna have to talk to the county about the issue, and that'll kind of inform what's possible.
We reserve the right to revisit that.
I can talk to the county and I can provide a report to Ben on what's going on with that and we can work through it at a staff level, and then if we need to come back to present to you what's finally decided upon, we can do that.
Okay.
Something like that, I'm not gonna rush right out and expect something within 30 days, but I would probably be more on the, probably more on the interest of, well, 90 days would be a little bit short with the holidays, so I would be looking at something on the landscaping slant, clarity with the bloodline issue by 120 days from now. So it's not, so in the spring, it's not forgotten, and that puts us, basically in March, and that way you guys can come to us, say, yep, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna be planting in May, April, May, June, somewhere in there, so,
We'll make contact with the county right away, and depending on what their process is, if we have to get easements drafted and.
yeah, it might take longer, but
It might take
at least you'll come back and say, okay, we're in the process. And it's gonna take us 6 months to get this easement through, and it's gotta be voted everywhere. At least we would know within 120 days what your game plan is.
Right.
Can I make a suggestion, just for procedure here, just. I think there's enough going on here, that I would actually suggest tabling this for a month. Until they're able to come back, and I think they've communicated a pretty clear intent to address each of these issues. Quite frankly, the only deal breaker issues that I see are the concerns raised by the fire department. And have an opportunity for you to work back and forth with the fire department and also address prepare something that addresses these and bring it back.
I can understand that concern, but the majority of the items brought up or raised by the fire department are, they're building code and fire code issues. They're not necessarily related directly to zoning concerns, related to a building expansion. If you guys were to approve us tonight and say, we're okay with your expansion, we're okay with you doing your business hours, we're okay with you talking to the county. Everything the fire department has brought up would have to all be 100% addressed before we can pull a building permit regardless. So it's not anything we can start. All of those concerns for the fire sprinkling, for the fire wall, for the fire alarm, as it relates to proximity of hydrants to buildings and to fire department connections, all that stuff would have to be completely immoralized or finalized with the state of Wisconsin, local fire department, and the local building inspector before we can pull the permit. So while, and I understand the concern to possibly table because of some concerns, but as it relates to the fire department, all that has to be handled regardless outside of this forum.
So do we have an amended plan of operations submitted with this? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, there is.
It's in the
Oh,
packet.
there it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's the way I was kind of viewing it, that's why I asked if these are all state approved plans, because I think the state's gonna look at the fire and all that stuff and do things, but.
But the state will, and when we submit the local fire inspection for permit review here, that all goes to the local fire inspector. It all has to meet with his approval before we can go forward, and now knowing some of his major concerns, we'll address all of that before we even submit to the state, so it's all in place before, so we don't have to jockey around with it throughout the process later on.
Upside.
Well, I don't know if, is that happening currently?
Can you tell us whether you're doing any offsite tank storing? Like at HM Grant
We are not, everything is on site.
offsite as it went?
So I haven't seen a tank over there.
Yeah,
for like
those-
a year.
Before Bailey Express moved out.
Oh, okay.
As soon as HM Brand got there, you didn't put anything
No,
over there.
Nothing, yeah,
Okay.
plus we did that expansion that we got permitted when permits and so forth, so that we didn't have to go across the street anymore.
Yeah, they're completely outside.
And I did notice the fence is up, so thank you.
Oh, no problem. She didn't like the color, but then she realized she approved it, so it's all good.
He does like it, I talked to her today.
Oh, good, because at first she didn't like the color, then she did like the color, so we were a little worried about them.
Yeah.
We were gonna hire an artist to put a mural out there for her or something.
Better make it a Harley.
Of course.
Edgar, if we did table it, how does that affect you?
Well, and push off, the progress we could make in the next month. I think we're looking at end of May, June timeframe already.
Mhm.
So we've
haven't
missed another busy season.
We're trying to get it done before
We're trying to get it
summer
done.
craziness hits us.
Yeah.
And if we conditionally approved it, if I'm hearing all the commentary correctly, we would be looking for some sort of an appendix or an addendum that would specify allowed activities during certain time windows. We would be looking for specifics, not specifics, but an acknowledgement that you're willing to work with staff and or this commission to give some concession regarding meeting the landscaping requirements. And frankly, between you and me, I think that's your at-risk category right there, because you know, then you're kind of agreeing to do what we ask you to do within reason at a later date. You know, so that's almost like an at-risk progress type of thing for you. I mean, I don't expect that we're gonna be unreasonable, but it's an unknown for you, and people don't like that. And I think those were the big things, in the painting, and then, you
And I,
know,
and I,
meeting all other state and local fire.
They could come back to
Conditions.
address those issues next
Right.
next time.
And I think maybe I could be on board with that if it was a conditional approval, but this is a lot of conditions to just assume and just.
Yeah.
I think they
Yeah.
should then also come back to demonstrate that
Yeah.
these conditions
I-
have been met.
I agree, and I think in this particular case, I'm a little more inclined to grant some latitude personally, anyway, I don't know how the rest of the commission feels. With this applicant, because they have a proven demonstrated history of doing what they say they're going to do. Right, so, we
And I-
talked about it earlier, this is their third time bringing forth a plan of operation in the last 10 years, so they get the process, they understand how it works, and
And we're happy to come back and address all these concerns with you guys. What we would love to get out of you today would be, we're okay with the building addition. To do the building addition, we're still gonna have you paint, we're still gonna have you do this with the landscaping and all those types of things, business plan. But if we got from you tonight that the building itself was acceptable, it allows us to start the process with construction documents and state of Wisconsin approvals and
Right.
fire department approvals. That does take a bunch of time that we would lose if we got tabled completely.
right.
So, we'd be happy to come back for all that stuff, if we could just get that small conditional approval on the building itself.
Given what you just said, could you live with a limited approval from the plan commission? That the site of the building as proposed is acceptable? Will that get you going?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, that way we could finalize the details for the plan of operation and maybe have more specific information about the task or activities that you're gonna conduct.
So and just so I understand, then the clarification is in the language that you're using where it's a limited approval rather than a conditional
Right.
approval.
Yeah.
Okay,
because the agenda item is only to possible action on the approval of an amended plan of operation. Oh, and site plan, right, so we could approve the site plan and table the plan of operation pending. Okay.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to slow you down. If we can do that and let you get the wheels turning. And then come back next month and we can hammer out some more details.
That'd be great, we appreciate that.
Well, yeah, they can amend the plan of operation with, all the things we discussed.
Yeah, so now you've heard some of the things that, are important to us and you can come back with those and.
Yeah, and looking at the plan of operation under hours of operation, there's situation where hours may have to be altered. I mean, we could, rather than having an addendum, we could really in the plan of operation outline what types of work are acceptable during what periods of time. I'd like to see that all included in that plan of operation.
Which I think Mr. Grimm, you kind of went through those, right?
Yeah.
I've been sitting here writing so I can write my, I just threw it all in the garbage.
Hey, it's your motion.
You can still do a motion to approve the site plan.
Yeah.
It was in the site plan, that was not go.
We'll save it for next month.
We'll need those numbers.
He's the motion maker.
Go ahead, Dover. I think the motion to approve the site plan of, the addition for landing tank.
And the building and the dimensions indicated for the building.
As what was submitted.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, and a second, any other discussion?
They're gonna have to get state approved, they're gonna have to get fire approved, they have to get building approved, they have to get permits, all that stuff like that, so. You know, this isn't gonna happen overnight, they gotta get everything submitted, so.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Do we want to put a return deadline on that, like?
December 17th.
No, you can't put, because you don't know how long the state's gonna take.
All right.
We can request they come back.
But I'm gonna have a second motion.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm following, I'm picking up what you're laying down.
This is just on the site plan approval of addition.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, that motion carries, and I'll,
I make a motion that we table the plan of operation till December, when the applicant has more time to come back with some of the discussed, comments and. So you can research his lease, his easement problems, his painting problem, his hours problems, his.
No problems, get.
Problems.
You got more problems than you came in with.
okay, we have a motion, to.
Second,
And a second, any other discussion on that matter? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, item number 8, discussion and possible action on outstanding open items, and again, these are just items that are coming on and off of here to just touch base on. We may or may not take further action. We'll just do as what's directed by the board.
Okay, the Lake Shore Burial Vault, we were, this was tabled until this time because, Ben had to leave last month and, well, there was a comment made that he was reviewing their plan, so.
Yeah.
This was based on, we're waiting for engineering to tell us what's going on with the Lake Shore Burial Vault.
We went back and forth with them on whether or not they were building the driveway apron at the existing width, or if they were widening it to 30 feet. They took a while to sort that out, decided they were just gonna stick with the existing, and by then, the conditions turned cold enough that they said they wanted to wait until spring.
So I guess when we get ready to do some motion, we'll have to do is figure out is, we wanna give them a date next year when we want this done by. Okay. So think about a date when they bring that up. Landon Elementary School, we're talking about the lighting, I believe the village engineer has been in contact with a group of people and. He's working on shutting up a meeting. Is that right?
That's accurate.
I was going to, hey, Mike, why don't we, kind of to Steve's earlier point, can we go through each item and then finish that topic and then move on to the next one? Just for clarity purposes, so I think like the Lakeshore Burial Vault one,
Okay, I make a
really
motion,
just a topic.
I make a motion that Lake Shore Burial Vault has till May 1st to have the driveway installed.
At the original width.
But,
At the original width.
well, May 1st, they only start asphalting May 1st.
There's concrete.
They're doing
Oh, it's
concrete.
Okay.
I don't know what the weather suitability is for concrete typically.
Asphalt plants are always opening in April, so concrete's gotta be good. They pour concrete in January.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they're making concrete all year long.
Yeah,
Right.
So,
If it doesn't work for them, they can come and tell us why.
And how much money you wanna spend keeping the ground warm.
Right.
that's May 1st, 2026.
Okay. All right, now we can move on. Thank you.
That was a motion.
Yeah, oh, we had a motion. Okay, yep, to allow Lakeshore Burial Vault until May 1st, 2026 to get their driveway in
I will second.
at the original width. And we have a second. Any other discussion?
And a letter will be sent to them by staff.
Yeah, we'll notify them of
Okay.
what the board decided and if there's any. Reasonable explanation why that timeline doesn't work, then I think I'll bring something back next month. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Well, the Atlanta Elementary School, that's about their lighting, and a meeting is being set up by the village engineer. So we hope to have an answer next month.
So I talked to Jeff Grove a couple weeks ago about it. Kind of outlined the concerns that you expressed to me at the pedestrian event up at the elementary school when you showed me that. He said that he had previously reached out to We Energies about the big tall one on the wooden pole like a month prior, and they're just waiting for them to get that taken out. The lighting, the other part, I don't know if you've heard anything different, but he was communicated to me, they'll either put shielding on it or a different fixture, but whatever they gotta do.
By when?
What Jeff said is, I think those lights are programmed to turn off at 8 o'clock. I don't know if that's true or not, that's what you observed.
It depends on what time of year it is.
They, as of a couple weeks ago, I must have talked to them a similar time frame that you did. They were going over there to try to tilt some of the things to be less directed toward the neighbors there to the north. And the last I heard was a voicemail from their general contractor last week saying that they were going over there to take down the We Energies fixture. I think the We Energies fixture is still up.
The We Energy fixture is one end, but it's another set of lights that's not approved that, you know, if they have a meeting, you know, we could point it out to them what's wrong with it. No, it's not, it was never, part of the problem is in December, a lighting plan was approved.
Yep.
Submitted by them and approved.
Yep.
The contractor put the lighting in to, we don't know what lighting plan. It's not even the original lighting plan that was not approved is part of it. And he found a fixture from some other
At the
location.
high school.
The high school, was it? And he stuck that in the parking lot there. And it's a lighting fixture that was started out at 30 feet high. When they have a 17-foot restriction, they lowered it down, but that light can light up a big area. And that's
And
the
probably your
fixture.
bedroom too, right? Is it hitting your house?
I can stand on my back porch and read the paper like this with my back to the school.
Yeah.
With my glasses on.
Okay, so
What's
Yeah.
the question like?
there's no question, it's just a progress update. And
We're
again,
trying to get the school.
that's the whole,
I mean, they don't have any choice but to go back to that lighting plan, or are you just trying to?
We're trying to get the,
Yeah.
we're, you know, if they would remove that fixture and put in the same fixture they put on the rest of the parking lot, that would take care of that fixture. But they haven't had the meeting yet on that.
and you have that scheduled with them, Ben, or?
I do not, I
Okay.
can schedule it.
Okay,
So that'll be, you know, hopefully we can get that solved. And then we get that one off our list. So that's a continuing one.
Yeah.
McDugout, I see our gentleman did not show up. I have approached the McDugout. Last month I approached a couple of businesses here about the signages. Two businesses responded real quickly and they removed the signs that they weren't allowed to have.
Yep.
The McDugout, part of that is I asked them to remove the fish fry sign off their fence, because that's a banner, we only allow banners 30 days up at a crack, and it's only allowed 2 times a year, it's a banner.
With a
So
permit.
that has not been removed, but then also the discussion is their entryway window area. We have in our ordinance that talks about window signs that may cover 100% of one window pane if there are 2 or more windows. This one here, if you actually look at the front of that building, they have a perforated sign up there that the 2 front doors have the dugout logos. The 2 side light panels on the front doors have Miller Lite panels, advertising Miller Lite. On the north side that faces Main Street, it's a big Pabst Blue Ribbon sign that says Pabst Blue Ribbon, and another one that says Bloody Mary, $7 or something like that. In our ordinances, we have a definition about advertising signs, means a sign promotes a product, a commodity or service. However, in our ordinance, it doesn't talk about what we do about advertising signs, but we do allow the neon signs in a window advertising a product. Could be beer, could be a cigarette, could be a cowboy, I don't know. But as far as these perforated signage, is it advertising? Or is it just something that kind of like keeps that area cool? But yet allows the police to look through the building, into the building at night? And at the same time, but our ordinance says one window, 100%. Now, the 100%, is that completely masked? Or if they put window shades on, close the window shades. You know, I don't know, so I was hoping the gentleman be here to kind of explain his signage, and I know. Patrick is gonna make a comment on this too, but. I don't know how to handle this, how we can help this guy, or tell him to take the signage down.
Yeah,
That's
so,
why it's now on the list. Now, the other part of the McDugout on this was the dumpster slant shed building in the back. That will have to change that one to the McDugout, to the daily property. And have her, we'll have to send her a letter to address the dumpsters, shielding, and that shed in the back, so. That's gonna be a separate item. That will come under the other category C, or E, I'm sorry. That I'm gonna bring up and put that at that point, so, but this part of the McDugout is just strictly on the signs.
temporary banner, totally agree, needs to come down. And when and if they wanna put one up again, they need to, submit a temporary sign application. And get approval, and. The perforated, window film, there's. Really no municipality that's gonna allow full coverage like they've done over there. They've done it because the beer distributors print that stuff and put it up for them for free to promote their products, obviously. But it is, it's not attractive. It's a safety concern for police because you generally cannot see into those windows. So when they're approaching those buildings, that's why most municipalities don't allow it, especially on entranceways or vestibules like that. So, you know, we have a pretty clear allowance and specifications in my mind in terms of what percentages are allowed, and you know, they just need to adhere to it. Period. So, I mean, I was in there shortly after you were in there, and I told him as much too, that he was gonna probably have to take most of that stuff down.
Are they open tonight?
Are you suggesting that I go over there and get a refreshment and discuss it further after the meeting?
No,
think
perhaps
it's
maybe
operating
we could
fine.
just telephone them and say,
Yeah.
why have you not appeared?
Yeah.
Assuming we've confirmed that, we let them know.
They were sent an agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they could, they can gather from that, yeah.
And I told him that I was having it put on the agenda too when I was there that day.
Right, right, so, yeah, we can just, I mean, we could. I'll stop over there.
Cause the other thing I think that we need to do is basically have the advertising sign. Put into the ordinance so it can be covered, because that was part of the. AJ Liquor and BP Gas Station removing all their liquor signs outside, and this also. Comes up because we had a gentleman come before us wanting to build a drive-through, liquor store.
Yep.
And this would have been a big thing of advertising signage, so we have to really put it in the ordinance somewhere, and maybe we might wanna ask this to go up to the legislation committee to put some noting in here on how to, or we'll have to figure out how to put advertising into our ordinance for signs that we don't allow it.
We've had discussion about updating our sign ordinance. In fact, in one of the municipality magazines, that was a recent article about that's become a hot topic for municipalities. I assume largely in part to some of the Supreme Court First Amendment type stuff that's come down, and ours are due for an update. I would say it even if Mr. Newman was still here. I don't really care for some of the rules that are, I think some of the stuff in ours are over restrictive in some areas, and then we're too loose in other areas, and as far as I'm concerned, and just based on my experience from other municipalities. So.
So so I guess we're looking for then, Patrick, would be a suggestion, what we're gonna do with the dugouts signage right now.
Yeah, so I think that, I will have a discussion with the owners and inform them that if corrective action isn't taken, within the next about 2 weeks, that they'll be cited.
So that would be, in writing, would do that, right?
I can do it in writing too, yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
And then you'll report back on the next board meeting, planning commission meeting.
Yeah, so sad. 2 weeks is. It's gonna be.
Do you need a motion or anything for that? No.
Third. December 3rd. So when is our next, let's see, our next,
December 17th.
our next meeting will be December 17th. Cause you went and talked to him, it's been several weeks already since you went and talked. to him.
Yeah, whatever that email I sent you and Dan was the date I talked to him. It was for the day before.
And then,
Cause I even gave him 4 days. You know, I think I talked to him on, it was a Friday or Saturday, and I gave him till like Monday or Tuesday, just like these other places. I gave him through the weekend, and
Sure.
they took care of their stuff right away, then 4
Yep.
days later.
Yep, well, I got a text from Justin probably 2 minutes after you walked out of his door. Okay. Back. Let's see. Call 17. All right. Want to move on to HM Brandt?
HMN Brandt is on this agenda based on, we're just gonna take the property on the east end here right now by the BP gas station. As you can see, Brenda included in our minutes, the meeting minutes from July of 2023 and June of 2023, when this went before us. And part of it in there, it says, in there is 90 days from closing on a contingency. That they will have gates, screening and slats all installed. And that if they want to have a sign, they would have to get a sign permit. Leaving a temporary sign up against the electric pole that says new home of HMN Brandt 2 years later should be removed. So believe that he was asked to come to tonight's meeting, and I see he did not show up.
Oh, his daughter's here.
He did.
Oh, hello, sorry.
She can
I
talk.
didn't recognize. So I guess our question would be then is the gate and the fencing.
Yeah, the fence, we basically like got a couple proposals the first year. Nobody was available to install, it was really busy. then we basically realized really quickly that we're running out of room, office wise and shop wise. So we've been working with an architect on making an entire new plan to put an addition on the office, which would conflict with the fence that we had approved. So basically it's just been kind of working that process is why we haven't put a fence up, because we would probably have to take it down based on the idea of what we have penciled out with the architects for improvements on the office. So.
So
something we
the-
present to the board and to the commission.
So Mike had indicated that his intent was to have a fence and a gate out pretty close to Main Street, so you're
Yeah,
certainly
towards the
not looking
front.
at coming out that far with a building.
Not
right?
that far, but it's hard to do without like a map or like seeing it, but we have like some limitation on how far the fence can go out just because of like the neighboring property and the way that like the fence to be able to open,
Yeah,
we can't actually put it out like right by the road because there would be
sure.
no way for an automatic fence to then open and close, so
Yep.
we'd have to have it further back.
Yep.
Which when we had talked to the architects, they had talked about like, well, are you gonna have it, run right to the building? Drop my computer. Or how exactly that's gonna fit. So that's pretty much where it's at right now.
So, here's kind of the thing, and I've,
And I'm sorry, not to interrupt, the sign, that's no problem, I think we honestly is, yeah, we can just take it down right away, that's no problem.
so there's been a number of different things kind of like this, and, the putting down the crushed concrete and all this stuff, and I think it's safe to say that the commission's kind of growing tired of what I'll just call lip service, for lack of a better term. Mr. Brandt comes in and huffs and puffs and gets his way, and we grant conditional, approvals for this and that, or I jump through hoops to try to find out about, job trailers. It doesn't happen. We spend God knows how many thousands of dollars having multiple meetings with consultants and attorneys about creating a limited crushing permit to accommodate a situation that was really not through no fault of our own. It was a misunderstanding about where to place certain concrete stuff, and had it just been placed in the right place initially, wouldn't have been a problem. We went through all that, and then nothing ever happened. No application was applied for, no crushing happened. And I believe there was a condition or a requirement to do some sort of material on that back portion that's not paved.
We have done that, we've added, I would say, a few, probably 50 different truckloads of crushed asphalt material
Okay,
has been put down throughout the yard, and we honestly just got more, even to put more down in the
Now,
back.
now I got a problem because I was told you got this pile over here was going to be crushed and trucked.
We're not allowed to crush over there. We tried to get a permit, we submitted a permit, it was denied, and then we were told we needed $100,000 bond. Or actually, we offered to have a bond. And we were told that was not acceptable, that we needed $100,000 line of credit. We approached our bank, they said we needed a contract to be able to do that. The village was not able or did not provide anything that we could bring to our bank. And we are not in a financial position to just give someone $100,000 tomorrow. So that is, to your point of why we didn't crush, we would love to crush. It's honestly a major hindrance to our business in town that we can't crush.
well, the letter of credit frankly is not the problem that you make it to be. So we had a call to talk through that. And the
we talked
difference
about
in,
the bank, and it was an issue, so I guess I'm not trying to be argumentative, but we were not able to get that from our bank, and per our attorney, they said that that was not reasonable, so.
Did you ever communicate that to the village?
I don't know if it was communicated, I have not.
Why were you sent here then without that knowledge? Why isn't Mr. Brandt here?
Well, we received the notification at this meeting that we were on the agenda on Monday, and it's currently Wednesday.
Yes,
So I
why
was,
isn't Mr. Brandt here?
because he had a prior commitment in Madison this evening with our banker and also multiple other people this afternoon, so no.
Would it surprise you to know that I've never heard from your attorney or your banker? And that the last thing that I heard was, what? What are you saying?
I could certainly reach out and have them talk to you again, I mean,
Yeah, I think I remember being on a call with Mr. Brandt. And I thought it was you and your banker
probably, it was probably Barr. We
talking,
also have Alex.
talking about and discussing the difference between a performance bond and a letter of credit. And the letter of credit doesn't require you to actually come up with $100,000. There is a financial cost to it, and it might be different than a bond, but it's not an unusual practice. So
So the village never took a position then that they should have stopped hauling it over there by EFW? Cause it's still hauling, they're still stacking, they're still piling, it's growing. Another pile is growing. So if they're not gonna crush,
I mean, our full intention is to crush, I mean, at some point, we're gonna have to resolve this issue because it is part of our business, we need.
Is
to be
it
able to
true
do
that you're still hauling stuff to that site?
Occasional loads.
Occasional. Do you realize that the village indicated that that was not to continue?
It's a commercial or an industrially zoned site, you're allowed to have.
But
like,
with regards
material.
to that site, you had no agreement with the owner. And the village did not approve any additional dumping of materials there.
With the owner, I don't,
The owner of the site.
yeah, you don't,
EFW
the problem is you don't
right?
own the property, you lease the property.
we
So,
have a lease agreement.
right, so the owner has inherent rights through the zoning, but that has not been passed on to you through the approved the legal process, which would include the plan of operation that gets approved by this commission.
Do you understand what the basic problem is with that site?
I
If
mean,
you do,
bas-
please explain to us so that we
From-
can educate you.
Okay,
Yes,
sure. From my perspective and my understanding, being that I apply for crushing permits like for our company in a variety of municipalities all the time.
Yeah.
We're currently crushing in Milwaukee, we're currently crushing in Madison, we crushed in Watertown last week. We have never run into this type of issue in any municipality that we have ever worked in to try to get a simple permit to crush. Is usually a process of you fill out an application, you explain, what the operation is. And usually it's a few $100 permit and you crush for, whatever length of time.
Can I ask a question? When you said you crushed just recently, what, Panama, you said?
No,
Watertown?
Madison,
Madison and Milwaukee, and what was the third one?
Watertown.
Watertown. In Watertown, do you have a lot that you hauled a whole building over to and set it on that lot and crushed it, or did you crush a building that you're tearing down?
No, so we were hired by a contractor that was out there that had been hauling into a site, so they had a large pile of concrete. They do not have the equipment to crush that concrete, so we were hired to come in with our crusher and crush that concrete.
I don't want to get us too far into the weeds on something that's off topic from what we're
Yeah.
here to discuss, which is the property over here.
Right, so looking at the gate.
Yeah, so, and again, these aren't meant to expect you to necessarily come here with all the answers. We appreciate you coming tonight on short notice. I think our expectation is going to be, or at least mine is going to be, that you are here again next month with at least something to illustrate or to show us what these proposed plans and expansions are, and maybe you can illustrate why a fence or at least part of a fence can't be constructed. The sign, I'm sure you'll take care of right away. Have somebody just drag that back to the shop and that's a done deal. These items are meant to really just tie up loose ends that have kind of slipped through the cracks. and as long as we see some traction and some interaction, I think we can come to a reasonable, resolution. But I think what happens and through no fault of your own necessarily, I mean, I think a lot of the burden frankly lies on us when we make these conditional approvals, and we've acknowledged this in meetings. It's incumbent upon us to also do our end on holding that accountability, right? So if we ask somebody to do something in 90 days and it's not done, well, it's reasonable to ask, well, why are you coming back 2 years later and saying something now? Well, because at some point we gotta clean it up, right? So we're trying to get better, and this is just part of the process. So, you know, hopefully, at least now you know what our primary concerns are. I would welcome and encourage a discussion about the crushing permit, and we can, again, talk with a bank. I'll be honest, my personal opinion is your dad just dug his heels in the sand because he wants to do things his way, the way he's always done it, and so that's what he's doing.
I mean, I can't speak to what he has said or has done at previous meetings. I wasn't present. I don't think our intention is just to be difficult. It has been, I would say, from a business perspective, very frustrating to not be able to use the property that we're leasing in a manner that would, well, it would benefit because we would get rid of the pile. I mean,
Right.
hey, we'd be able to fix up the yard more fully to how we would like to have it. And the material would be there, so.
So, and you understand why, I mean, we would prefer that as well. And I acknowledge that your dad made efforts to engage with the property owner to try to get this handled in a correct and legal fashion. I'll just spell it out again, though. What we're looking for is for the owner of the property to have a complete and accurate plan of operation on file with this village. That will then also be the overarching document that will have subordinate plans of operations from all of the lessees of the property. Because it's my understanding there's like 4 people that lease.
That's not correct.
Okay,
We're the only leasing to the boundary.
you're the only one that leases
Now,
space back there
whatever
now.
the wood people.
He's not there.
Not Barnacle, but the other guy.
No, he's not there either.
So you are literally the only ones now.
Correct.
Okay, well, that'll simplify
There
the
used to
matter
be the
then.
guy with the wood, I can't remember his name, my dad knows it, but yeah, he
Okay.
is no longer back
All right.
there.
So that's what we're trying to achieve, is to get an updated plan of operation from the owner of the property. And then your plan of operation, which will be subordinate to that one.
Yeah, and I understand that. I mean, we approached and talked to our landlord multiple times
Yep.
and asked them to do this, and
Yep.
basically they did not care. They would not do anything. So we were very much stuck between a rock and a hard place of the village is asking us, to try to facilitate, but ultimately we can't force our landlord to do something. It really goes the other way, like we're their leasee.
Right.
And that property, I don't know the property itself if it's been sold, but the business itself has been sold. As of a few months ago,
Okay,
to a very large international company that I don't know much about them, quite honestly.
They didn't buy the real estate.
interesting.
I don't know. It's not
AFW was sold?
correct.
Oh, that's
Now,
interesting.
you still have a lease, right?
Yes, we
Were
are.
you notified who the new owner is?
All we received was an email from a CFO.
Were you notified who the new owner is?
I can try to find the name of it. It's a Chinese
Would you
company.
please provide that to the clerk as soon as possible?
Yeah, I have no
Yeah.
problem doing
Yeah,
that.
that'd be great.
What
That'd be
did
very
they
helpful.
tell you about honoring your lease?
We had a meeting with them probably 2 weeks ago. An individual reached out to basically find out, because they didn't really know much about what was going on with the property. So I, presented the lease that we have. And they wanted to take it and review it, and we honestly have not heard back yet, anything from them.
Can you provide a copy of that lease to
It's
the
a very
clerk?
simple lease.
Can you please do that?
Thank you.
And
So,
can you commit to not adding more to the pile there?
Yeah, I suppose so. That's Austin's department. I'll tell him. I'll let him know.
Do you understand why the village objected to the crushing taking place there?
Quite honestly, I don't know,
Okay.
because there are neighbors are crushing, there's crushing down, like, it's all
Yeah.
zoned the same and.
Yeah, but not all crushing is the same. In this respect, there was concern that your company was bringing or allowing materials from demolitions out of village, which may have had contaminated materials. And we asked, if you could hear me, we asked your father to demonstrate that that was not the case, as you're nodding your head now. And he never did do so. And we spoke with your father about, okay, let's stop the music until we get your landlord to cooperate. And that's why I, in speaking to you, am asking you to stop adding to the problem by bringing more material there.
So I guess I have like a few points to that is. The DNR regulates what. Like all demo is under permitting, so any of the material that has been brought in has been tested for asbestos, it has been tested for lead. We have permits from the building that it's being demolished, we're not just. Driving down the road picking up random material, it's just not what's happening, it's
No.
clean concrete material that's. Crushable, it's regulated by the DNR. We utilize water to mitigate dust and dust and silica exposure. I mean, this is a really standard practice and it's great for the environment to recycle because. I guess who is against recycling, you know, so I understand your concerns,
Yeah,
but
and we
ultimately.
understand that process and we discussed some of that documentation with your father and he agreed that, you know, or I think. If I recall correctly, agreed in principle that it wasn't unreasonable for us to expect to get copies of that documentation for the materials that are being brought into the village, so.
Like the asbestos reports or the testing, I guess
The
what
chain of custody.
documentation?
Yeah,
Yeah, just the
The
chain of custody documents.
So you're not required by the DNR to have a chain of custody for a clean material. You're only required to have a chain of custody for a material that's contaminated like asbestos. So clean concrete load, nobody is manifesting a clean concrete load because the entire site has been tested and it's basically proven to be clean. Anything that is not proven to be clean needs to be manifested and then hauled appropriately.
And so how do we distinguish between those loads as a village? How do we distinguish what type of material is being brought into the village?
or
I
are
mean,
you,
it's not
are you
legal to
expecting us to
haul.
take accept your word that it's
People
all
do
clean?
illegal things all the time.
I mean, I
I'm-
could
I'm-
provide abatement reports for buildings, I mean, that we've demolished, I mean, that's pretty much what the DNR expects, is that. There's an abatement report, there's a notification, a 10-day notification to the DNR from the abatement company. And then clean air testing is what's expected.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not here to try to imply that you have any nefarious intent or that you're doing anything untoward. That's not the point I'm trying to make. I'm simply trying to point out that the village has a responsibility as well. And while I, you know, have no reason not to believe your word, it doesn't hurt for us to be able to substantiate and demonstrate that should a problem arise in the future, we can go back and pull out a file and say, well, here's the documents that were provided to us stating or certifying that these were clean materials, and that's why we allowed them to be crushed under a limited crushing permit. You know what I mean? And the other crushing that's happening in the village is quarry stone. It's, you know, we're talking apples and oranges here, so.
I mean, I know that the quarry also does recycle as well, but that's here nor there, I don't control what the quarry does.
The quarry crushes rock from the quarry. If they're bringing the rock from the Colley property down to be crushed and land in stone, that is because that is quarry rock that's being moved. My question is though, is this pile is so geometrically big. what's the intention of that crushed material? Where do you guys plan on putting it or hauling it to?
I mean, some of it would be used on site because there's a significant issue with basically just the site being low and
But
the whole
it-
side.
But,
And then a lot of it could be sold as a product.
but if it gets too much now is now we're looking at is how much is it gonna change the grade? I mean, pretty soon we're gonna have to have some engineering company go in there and get grade heights, because
I mean, we're not gonna raise it like, we're talking a few inches so that when it rains, that the site is not wet. In the back, if you drive back there, it's wet.
But the problem is I know there's a formula for pile width, depth, height. Crushed down to what does that relate to? How much is that gonna cover the whole land there?
Well, we're not gonna use everything there most likely to just fill in the site, like.
So if you
Recycled concrete is a product that you can sell.
So if you crush it and spread it out. Now you got a dust issue, you have to cover it with, because we don't allow open blowing dust down there. Otherwise, the
We could put
neighbors,
asphalt grounds on it, we can, I mean, there's a lot of things.
but then are they gonna then bring in more concrete eventually, because now the pile's gone, spread out, now we're gonna bring in another pile and start again?
I mean, okay, so in a perfect world, what our company does is recycle concrete. And that is a product that we can sell for a profit for our business, which we do all over the place. In a perfect world, yeah, we would love to utilize that property where maybe we build up a pile, once a year we crush it and we can sell that product. That would be amazing and it would really help our business, and it seems personally unfair that other companies in the community can do a very similar thing.
I'm gonna fix that for you right now, and I'm gonna explain and clarify why there's a difference. If you want to be able to do that, simply haul the concrete debris to your property where we specifically created in the conditional use permit, I believe, an allowance for you to get a crushing permit. Problem solved. The reason other people are allowed to do it is because they're doing it on land that they own. The problem for you over there is that you don't own that land.
I mean, we have looked at purchasing that land, but
Great,
because
do it.
we've had so much issue with this, it's a significant financial risk for a business to take on property when you don't know that you can do the activity that would sustain owning that property.
We've explained this on many occasions. If you own the land, it's completely different. The problem over there is that you don't own the land. This land over here, we granted, you just hauled the stuff to the wrong property. If you'd have been hauling it all to this property over here from the get-go, this would all been done a long time ago. Cause you can crush over there. We already built that in.
I mean, we've leased that property since before we owned this one, but that's here or there.
Yeah. I don't know how
Yeah,
long.
I mean, we could start hauling over there instead, if we still need to resolve basically the concrete pile, that's not the other property.
Yeah, well, my recommendation to your dad was, well, just haul the stuff over there and crush it.
Well, I mean, basically trucking through town, we can put 10 trucks on it for a few weeks, and if that's what the village really wants to have happen with trucks running through town for a significant amount of time, I mean, it's gonna be a traffic issue. It's gonna be
Happens every
loud.
day here, happens every day here, all day long. You're not gonna be the only ones on the road, trust me.
It's also just from a perspective of a business, like, I would hope that you can appreciate that how unreasonable that actually sounds as well, just like the cost to move our machine. One machine to one spot to crush for a few weeks to get this done versus haul concrete across town to another site at the cost of running the trucks, running the drivers, causing traffic disruption, moving everything at our yard to create enough room to do that. Like, I understand that that's the legalities of the way that you would like us to do it, but ultimately, from a business perspective, I mean, if you were a customer that hauled your material and moved something here and then because of some basically legalities of you have a lease you don't own, you can't get your landlord to cooperate, that's out of our control, now spend weeks and thousands of dollars to do this. it's not very reasonable, but
I don't know your business. I don't presume that anybody else up here does either, so I don't have any idea what costs are associated with that, and nothing has been presented to me.
running a truck for a day is $1,200 a day. So.
Okay,
I
again,
mean, we.
I don't know your business. I don't know, maybe you sell that crushed concrete for $10,000 a ton. I don't know if it makes business sense or not. That's not my concern. I'm trying to help get you to a solution, and I'm explaining what the options are. Which one you choose is ultimately, as you pointed out, your business's decision to make.
Well, ultimately, basically, it's been sitting there because from a financial and business sense, it does not make sense to do that. Could it be done over time? Yeah, we could probably do it. It's not gonna happen overnight, because like I said, that pile, I mean, it's been for a while been there and.
I'm growing and growing, and what's every old my.
If I wanna move this on, Patrick.
Yep.
So I'd like to make a motion, this is in relation to HMM grant at 20151 West Main Street. That the sign be removed and that they return on December 17th with explanations of when they plan on doing a gate, a fence, or the expansion, or what's their timeline on that?
Does that seem doable?
Yeah, I personally probably will not be here. I'm due to have a baby next week.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So your brother or your dad can.
They wanted to be here. It was just very short notice and they did have a prior commitment. They're currently on the phone listening because they wanted to know, what was being brought up, but yeah, they're actively driving back from Madison right now.
Yeah, okay,
So,
great.
So that's 20151 West Main Street. That's the motion for that location.
Okay. Well, good luck with everything. I hope it all goes well and smooth, and congratulations.
thank you.
Okay, so then we can move on
I got a
to
motion out there.
Oh,
I
I'm
will second
sorry.
that motion.
motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
As far as it would be, we could put that under the other, but I know right currently that I believe legal is working in the AFW project.
I don't know. I think this
And
is a good opportunity for us to get updated information, and then we can make a further determination on what a course of action moving forward is in terms of
So then let's.
gaining some compliance.
Then
from
we have to put
AFW.
AFW on the next month's agenda.
I-
So we can set up a time, we can set up a list of items that need to be. So we know which way where we can promote to the village board for legal to take action.
I think that would be a good idea, and
And we'll also know that there's also now there's a new owner, because now there's gonna have to be a new plan of operation, and now we just can shut them down.
right,
And
so.
they respond real quick then.
Right, so I will ask that Brenda put AFW on here. If you have specific items that you would like addressed at that meeting, if you could please provide her with those prior to the agenda going out, that would be
Okay.
welcome.
And then also, I wanna have, ask that you have put on is, the dugout property that we, put that on the agenda, so we can get information sent to the owner of the property, Miss Daly, to address the dumpster screening and the shed situation, since that's a property item and not
Tenant.
the bar owner, because the people that rent upstairs use those dumpsters too, so.
Yeah.
And then my third item I have on my list here is, for Mrs. Lake down there. Did you ever get any response back from the Marker Doro Wood Wolf?
Yes.
People down there?
Yes.
For the parking lot?
So I actually am gonna start my report with a question. So I talked to Mark, who's the owner of the property. He used to have a motorcycle shop in there, that is closed down, he no longer occupies any of the space. So when I talked to him, he goes, well, you know, I'd be happy to comply in any way possible, but you've got to talk to the construction company, and please forgive me, I don't have my notes with me, they're sitting at home on my desk. But you have to talk to the construction company because they have taken over the building in its entirety and they have leased it. So Lone Wolf Detailing is actually not leasing directly from the owner. The sublease is the construction company, and he's paying the full rent, and then he's collecting rent from Vinnie and from other entities. So I'm like, I still have to track down a plan of operation for this. And so the owner of the property, the title holder to the property says, listen, I don't really know what's going on there. If there's a dumpster that needs to be screened, it's the construction company that has to screen it. If the parking lot needs to be resurfaced, it is my responsibility, but I want the plan of operation to come. So like the plan of operation that was given to us by Land and Tank Company is signed by not only the president of the company, but also the property owner. Where does the plan of operation, is it from the property owner? Is it from the leasee? Is it the operating entity? Or that's where I'm kind of stuck a little bit, because I have a call into the construction company, but we haven't made that contact yet.
Is
So
that Doral has the
Yeah,
construction company?
thank you.
We had the same discussion regarding this property. So the structure or the hierarchy is the property owner. And correct me if I'm wrong, the property owner has to provide the plan of operation. That plan of operation should indicate what lessees they might have. Now, the mechanics of a lessee additionally having lessees or sublessees, I don't know how I don't know that the property owner necessarily has to have that.
Well, you are correct in what you're describing. The property owner has fundamental control over the entire site. The property owner can decide whether he wants to give a blanket lease to a subordinate entity. The subordinate entity has the ability to break up the interest depending on the apartments or the units and lease that out. But the property owner itself cannot just delegate the responsibility, because ultimately the enforcement action that the village takes is against the property owner. The property owner has the responsibility of keeping tabs on what his tenants are doing. And to the extent that they get new tenants, the property owner is supposed to motivate the tenants
Right,
to
which
also
he
file
will, yeah.
a plan of operation.
Right, so my question is then we would have a plan of operation from the owner.
Right.
Basically stating that the lessee is Doral, and then we'd have another plan of operation, which would be Doral's hours, Doral's number of employees, and then what their leases, and then like Lone Wolf eventually would be another plan of operation or any other.
Do that with Lone Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He was a
Yeah.
leasing.
So it's
So
layers
he
of
was a
onion.
subleasee of Mark the owner, but he's actually a subleasee.
No, we.
No, he told us that.
Oh, did he? Of
Yeah.
Doral, okay.
But see, the whole thing comes back to, you can have people renting your building, but you're still responsible for your building, you're still responsible for your parking lot. That's the owner,
Right.
and that's why the owner needs to fix the parking lot.
Mhm.
And he needs to fence, and our ordinance states that dumpsters are shielded. That's like next door, this this auto dealer. Technically, we should go after the owner about getting it. Because here's the situation is you shut down the business that's in there. But, we can't because the owner won't get, well, will the owner not get his money then?
Right. Right.
We have, but the owner is still responsible for his property.
And what other code violations are you familiar with what items on that property? Is it just the dumpster and the gravel? Because when I had this meeting with the owner, he was like, well, what are the issues? And I'm like, well, I know these two issues, certainly. Is there anything else? Like, I'd like to have that complete view, because I feel like now I should go and have a meeting with the property owner and the owner, George of Doral, right? I mean, we should all get together and say, okay, let's just hammer out these various plans of operations so that you're compliant, and then we'll move forward with.
Well, those are the two big issues.
Those are the two big issues.
Well, if you look at the property, there's trailers in the weeds with old tarps that are ripped up. Okay, you know, by Lone Wolf there. At least it was a couple months back. You know, if you look at the overall condition, is this appealing to if you live right next door, is this appealing, even though they're a business?
Right.
You know, is this appealing to your eye? That's what you have to look at, and that we have a beautification, but the ordinance is that the parking lot cannot be crumbly, it has to be maintained. They're not the only one that we're gonna be going after, or the village should be going after. We do have an ordinance on driveways in this town, and it's a driveway, whether it's residential or a business, that they all have to be paved within 2 years of ownership. Paved or concrete. Now, there's probably nobody that's left that's grandfathered. Everybody should be now paved or concrete. Cause the turnover in the town of the old people that had gravel are long gone.
Yeah, well.
You don't have gravel driving.
No, but I have a question for you that was brought up to me. Does that include residential?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you look on Main Street?
Yes.
Did you see that pile of that
Gravel that's out
driveway?
over the
It
driveway.
is running down into the road, and now it's a hump at the curb.
It's over the sidewalk, yeah.
So who's responsible to clean that up?
People, the owner of the property.
I would think so, but nobody's.
But
Right.
Brenda has the list,
Property
and
owner.
Well, right, but who's gonna bring it to him? Cause it was brought to my attention, I had no idea that was happening. That was running down into the street.
we have to find time for staff to get the letter typed up. If they can come up with a standardized letter and just submit addresses onto them, they can send them out, broadcast them. You know, people have, now this problem is they all should have been done many years ago. Now, the ordinance says 2 years now, because we're giving them a letter, are we gonna give them 2 years from now?
This is.
Sorry,
You know,
I shouldn't have interrupted, but
Well, you're a trustee,
So, but Colleen, there's another business in that building.
Yeah, there's a third entity, which I haven't identified yet.
So is George subleasing to that guy?
Yes. Yeah, the way that Mark, the owner, tells me, he says George is taking it over and then he sublets, and he's collecting the rent and then paying.
Well, it sounds like George needs a new plan of operation.
Right, right.
They all do.
Which is, so this
Except for
is
Vinny.
the point I got to. So I'm talking to the property owner, and he's like, well, what are the issues? And I'm like, okay, I'm not fully, this is where, you know, my experience on the planning commission, my recent tenure, I'll call it, you know, puts me at a little bit of a disadvantage, because I'm like, I know there's issues we have to address, but let's just start with getting our plan of operation first. And then we will approve those plans of operations contingent upon the improvement of the paving and the dumpster screening and whatever other things we come up with that need to happen. So yes, I will
so
continue.
then you might as well start with George, he has to
Yep.
have a new plan of operation showing all the entities.
Right,
And we have to make sure that all entities have, well, you don't have to worry about Lone Wolf, they have a plan of operation. But the other two, George and the other one, need to have one. It's like, if you look across the street at,
CJM.
Well,
CJM that owns the.
Yeah.
Smokehouse and all that. He has a plan of operation but it encompasses all these, and he just makes sure that they all come in and get their plan of operation, you know. But he's got a plan of operation showing us these are the suites, so.
but Mark really needs to come in too.
right.
I mean, he needs,
Yeah,
I mean,
Mark-
if he's restructuring his business and that's no longer what we approved.
Yeah.
You know, he's changed that
Yeah,
substantially.
this is gone.
So you just, you know, you need to have this.
This is not a
They all-
complicated procedure. It could have probably been done in less time than we've spent talking about it, honestly. He just needs to get it done. There's a hierarchy, it's top down.
Fill in the
you know.
blanks and send it in and let it fall where it will.
Yeah, the compliance stuff is a separate issue, but approval of the plan of operation is probably likely, if I know this group, gonna be contingent on, satisfying, rectifying those conditions.
Okay, I will report back on the December meeting then, what we've got done.
How many more you got on your
That's
list there, Mike?
That's it, I go one.
Good, because we don't want too many on here that.
No, that was, I thought some of these would drop off so we could add a couple, but right now, we've got a manageable list.
Okay.
Couple items.
In that case, unless anybody else has anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I do have one little thing, do you mind? Do you mind? Can I bring up the Civic Plus thing? Have you talked to them about the Civic Plus management software at all? No?
No,
Okay, I just wanted to mention you guys, this doesn't have to be,
Yes.
this could be something we can put on a future
Yeah.
agenda.
yeah, we're gonna need to put it on
Oh,
a future
okay.
agenda
Never mind.
to discuss it.
Okay. I will
And-
make a motion to adjourn then.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Yeah, Colleen, we can put that on next month's agenda and that'll give some time to maybe send some information out to the commission prior so they can review it.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
There are also some.
Yes.
Okay, let me stop.
Well, actually, he goes on the